Later. All right, guys. Want to say thank you for joining today as we do this every week, 4 o'clock Central. If you aren't able to stay on, or if you were not able to catch this, as always, we will have the recording on the YouTube channel afterwards. So this will probably be put up later tomorrow because I got to fly home in the morning, real early flight. Hence why I look like I'm in, protected services right now. But anyway, what I wanted to do is talk about something that's obviously important. Knowing the products is a very important deal, but also knowing how to run the illustrations is a very big thing. And what I would say is that what you'll find in the marketplace a lot of times is people become acclimated with one carrier, and that's kind of like the gospel on how they do all of their carriers. But I want to show you the Winflex designs and how you can modify certain things, how to kind of take advantage of how this works. And for those who are unfamiliar at Winflex, Winflex is a multi-carrier solution for life insurance illustrations. So you might be familiar with running Winflex for, say, Corebridge, because Corebridge uses Winflex. They don't have an internal system or a product suite. Other organizations might have you go to their carrier sites to get the illustrations. And in my opinion, that's inefficient because I can run multiple carriers from one spot here in Winflex, and it will allow me the ability to run several carriers at one time, the ability to compare and contrast right here. I have I have contracts with all these carriers, but let's say, for example's sake, I did not have one with Transamerica. Well, I could still run their FFIUL without having to get contracted with them. So I have the ability to do that here. And if I like the product through our back office, you can get contracted in the same day you can submit the application. So in essence, you really don't have to go to the carrier site unless you're looking up, say, in-force data. So what I'm going to do is going to take you through what you would call a simple design for LIRP strategies, life insurance retirement plans. They could also be called SERPs, supplemental executive retirement plans, however you want to call it. Some people even just call it the 7702 plan because that's part of the tax code for cash value life insurance. But we're going to go through the basic model, the basic setup. One thing I will tell you is you're going to find a lot of people in the industry because you're putting in a high dollar amount and it's a lower face amount. The You basically get paid off of the death benefit. The lower the face amount, the lower the commission. A lot of people out in the industry are going to do what you call target funding on LIRP strategies, and what you'll find is that yeah, fiscally that can help, but on the back end, it's very detrimental for the customer and what you're trying to portray. So I'll show you the quote unquote right way to do it, and then show you a few modifications, and I'll highlight National Life Group because they have a really cool feature on their system inside of here or on their portal on how to do what I'll show you in just a minute. So we're focusing on cash value accumulation, income. And the reason why we do this is a lot of people in the industry um, are really poking the bear on what make people tick, right? So no one wants to talk about death. They don't care about what happens after because they're dead, right? You have to have really pulling the heartstrings to sell a death benefit product for death benefit. So a lot of times people will take the idea of life insurance and flip the script and say, hey, you can get tax-free retirement income from it. And the answer is yes. However, it can be very complex. And if it's not designed the right way, we run into what you see a lot of times on the internet. People were sold a bad product, and whole life people will say IULs stink because of the way they're designed. It's not a bad product, it's a bad agent. So I say that all the time. There's no such thing as a bad product, just a bad agent. So From the scenario here, I'll show you the proper way to do it. Um, and I'll do multiple carriers. Okay. So we have several carriers from that standpoint. And yeah, I'll, I'll address that here real quick, Kathy, about the Kyle Busch. So first and foremost, so yes, it's on an IUL chassis. So Kyle Busch had the issue with a lawsuit over an IUL that was sold. The first problem was he used Pac Life. Okay. Now Pac Life is the originators of IULs, right? Or one of the originators, I should say. Corbridge or AIG was one too. But Pac Life was the first company to use multipliers. So what are multipliers? Well, if I have a cap rate of 10%, so point to point, 10% is the highest I can go. Well, if I charge you 1.25% on your total cash value, I can raise your cap to 15%. So my opportunity to make more has grown, but my charges has increased dramatically, especially if I get more cash in it. So first and foremost, bad product. And I will say this, like I said, there's no bad products. I'm talking IUL is good, whole life is good, but the Pac Life, it was called a PDX product, not a good product. It had built-in fees, client didn't know about them. Second problem with Kyle Busch, he had what's called a flat extra. He raced cars, so you pay extra per thousand because you're in a risky business, basically. So he had extra charges, which decreases your cash accumulation because you're paying more for charges. The third and the biggest problem is he incorporated premium finance. So with premium finance, you're basically mortgaging your insurance premium. You're letting a bank pay for a majority of the premium. Some people have called it free insurance, which we don't do. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So they mortgaged the premium. They had higher fees and a product that also had higher fees too. And then the interest rates went up, the cash went down, and everything exploded. And all of a sudden, it's a bad product. That's not the case. It's a bad agent. So that's Kyle Busch in a nutshell. And he lost his lawsuit or his countersuit. So, um, you know, it is what it is. So again, but we don't want to be on an ESPN 30 for 30 or a Dateline or whatever for what we sell. So when we look at it, I'll show you here because I'm familiar with their product, the quality of life product, their max accumulator. You see accumulation and protection. So there's two different types of products, one for growth, one for death benefit. It's really built into the name. So if we click on create client here, and I'll just use myself as always, male, we'll pretend I'm 40 and I'm actually a preferred in this scenario. So a girl can dream. So I'm 40 years old, and usually with these scenarios, when you look at the next page where it says solve for, so they've opened this up to be open for you to figure out how you want to solve for it. So some people, if they don't know what they're doing, they'll start saying, all right, well, my client wants to put in a certain amount of dollars, and I'm going to try and figure out the best death benefit possible. And they go back and forth. Well, the beauty of the software is if you know how to use it right, it will do all the work for you. And so what we do is when we talk about death benefit sales, most of the time we know what death benefit we want. We're trying to figure out the premium. On the flip side, with accumulation sales, the client knows how much they want to put in on a monthly or annual basis, and we're trying to find the least amount of death benefit. So when we think about what we're solving for, we're either typically solving for a face amount or we're solving for a premium. I'm not going to use these because I'm going to do multi-carrier. And if you do these are selective for core bridge. So here I'm going to do face amount. So I want to solve for the face amount, and it changes it to this. So you see solve for face amount and then solve option. We want to do the least amount of face or least amount of death benefit without turning it into a mech policy. Let's say, for example's sake, I want to put about $5,000 a year in, and this would have me doing it forever. So I want to click on this calendar, and I'm 40 right now. So let's say I want to do this for 20 years. Okay. And then I'm just clicking off of this to get it to change. So I'll double click here, I'll change it to 0, and I click off, and now it's set. If you want to do by age, you can, but some carriers will actually it's an illustration trick, like Allianz does it. So when my illustration here, I'm age 40. When you see on the actual ledger, it'll say age 40 at the top, but year one, it'll say 41. Well, Allianz, for example's sake, will show in year one 40. And so when you're actually doing the funding, you actually get an extra year of funding inside Allianz if you're using an age, which makes them look better because you're putting more money into the policies. So when I talk about doing premium solves, I usually like to do the years because I know exactly how many years I'm funding for. It's 20 total years, and no one can manipulate that. It's all about getting to the top of the spreadsheets for these BGAs and stuff like that. It's atrocious. Index strategy, as always, I'm a big S&P fan. I don't like the other volatility controlled indexes. They're kind of a dog with fleas. Disbursements. So you'll see here, technically right now it's 0. I'm going to click on the calendar, and here I'm actually going to do age because I want to start my funding. Um, Oops, that's weird. Double click 64. So 65, and I like to go to 89 or about 25 years. Solve for max, click off that, and now we're good there. Policy options, it's increasing right now. You want to do increasing while you're funding, and then after, say, 20 years when I'm done funding, I want to double click and change it to level. Now, if I was doing 5,000 a year, it's on annual. If I want to change to like 250 bucks a month, then I would go down to monthly. But I'm keeping it simple right now. Again, 5,000 for 20 years, taking income 65 to 89. And again, the policy options is increasing while you're funding and level. Why do we do that? Because when you're increasing, it drops the face amount as low as possible. If I did what's called a level LIRP, it would have a higher death benefit off the start, but it would stay the same. Increasing slowly increases and grows, but your cost of insurance is smaller because there's less net amount at risk. If you have questions about that and you want to dive deeper, let's set up a separate call to kind of go through that. There's a little drawing action that I could do to kind of show you that. But that's why we want to do funding at increasing or increasing while we're funding and then level once we're done because it changes and reduces your cost of insurance. Um, okay. So this is Corebridge. I'm going to add in, for example's sake, I copied. So you'll see the word here, copy, copy. So now I have two Phil Reshes at Corebridge. Now, if I want to, I'm going to click on the right-hand corner, change product. And let's say, for example's sake, I'm going to go down to National Life Group. Okay. So, little trick of the trade. First and foremost, you'll see Flex Life, and then there's also Summit. Flex Life is under 1 million. Summit is over 1 million. You'll see Peak NL, Flex Life NL. These are for New York only. So you're using Flex Life if you're not selling in New York, or Summit. Rapid Protect is their protection IUL. So Flex Life is a bit of it's like their catch-all, and you'll see why. I'll show you here in a second. But I'm going to hit Update Client because I know I'm going to be under $1 million. And it's asking me, oh, wait, there's no valid number for flat extra or solve for. So I'm going to hit fix errors. Now, that doesn't mean that everything is done. It means that a lot of the items that I needed have been added in. So Phil Resch, male, 40, preferred, Tennessee. But I go to solve for, and it changes to minimum premium. So minimum death benefit, max cash value. So I'm making minor adjustments to make sure that everything is kosher. Again, the S&P, we're at the point to point. Okay, I'm going to double check the age to make sure that that's kosher. We're good there. And then we have increasing for 20 and level. So we've done our deal and everything works. I'm going to add one more carrier in just to show you diversification, so to speak. So I'm going to go to my first one because I don't want to do a copy of a copy. So I'm going to go back up to the Corebridge one. And now I have my third option, two QOLs, one national. Well, we're going to hit change product once again. And I'm going to bring in, let's say, North American. Okay, so North American with their Builder Plus 4. If you see two options, it's always the latter of the two. Typically, the reason why there's still two here is one state hasn't approved the four yet. It's probably Washington or California. Sometimes it's Massachusetts. But we'll do the Builder Plus 4 and we'll hit Update Client. It'll say, whoa, there's a lot of stuff here that we got to fix. So we'll say fix all errors. Once again, solve for minimum death benefit, max distributions. Okay, this just means I want $1 by age 120. So I really want to pump out as much cash as possible. My index strategy, this is the stuff I hate. This is a dog with fleas. So I'm going to hit 0 there. And I'm going to put 100% into, oh, no, no, 100% into the S&P. Disbursements. So here they have a different design. So age, I want to change it to age, and I want to start my funding at 65, and I want to end at age 89. Okay. So now that's set. And then last but not least, we have the increasing and level. And you can't change it to age here because some carriers do that. It's kind of funky. But if I hit calculate now in the right hand corner, it's just going to do North American. So in the top left hand corner, I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to hit calculate, and it's going to calculate all three at the same time. So it's going through the process. And what you'll find is that all of the death benefits should be relatively close. If one is like extremely higher than the others, that means you messed up. And you just go back and look. So if the death benefit was like 150,000, 149, and one was like 1.2 million, you messed up. So and we'll see here. So yeah, right around the ballpark, 78, 90, 86. Okay. So if we look in North American, well, just a quick poll. How many people would say North American is going to be the highest DB or highest income? Corebridge. Yeah. Who's this Corebridge? NLG? Any takers? So this doesn't mean anything. So again, everybody has internal charges that are different too. So if I scroll through here and I look, keep going down. So 78,000, and I'm pulling 23,604 in income right here. Okay. So I've put in 100,000. I'm basically getting 118 after 6 years, and I'm still going through retirement. So if I look at this, for every dollar I put in, I'm getting about almost $6 as a return over the retirement years. And for those who are wondering how much you're going to make, it's right here, 1578 TP is the target premium. Okay, it's pretty easy to find on North American site or North American's illustration. Okay, so remember that 23,604. Now we're going to go back and we're going to look at Corebridge. So 23,604 is the number to beat. And I could easily, well, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can do hyperlinks right here. So we got tabular detail. Voila. Here we are. I'm like Vanna Resh. I'm just showing you what's up. And here we have 23001. Okay. So pretty much fighting distance, they're pretty close. Target premium for Corebridge, you'll see, is the FCP. So you make about $100 more, $75 more, and the numbers are still relatively close. Okay. So last but not least, we'll look at National Life Group. They're all going to be relatively close. So, like I always tell people, it's like pick the carrier you like the best. Sometimes the carrier you like the best might not be the best for the client, though, depending on health. So right here, target premium, excuse me, the target premium's on the next page. 1402. Okay. So less target, even though it has a higher death benefit compared to all three. Keep going. Oops, went too fast. So here, 24,316. So they have the highest face amount, the highest income too, out of the three. So does that mean they're the winner? Toss up. Okay. They got living benefits. Great story. Now, what I would say is when you look at this strategy, I'm 40 years old and my peak earning years are still ahead of me. And so this is the lowest you can go, the foundation of giving you the highest income. Now, if I said, Phil, the max you can put in here is $5,000. Can't go any higher. That's the most you can put in. Now, as you get older, again, your peak earning years are yet to come. So, if we built in a little bit more room, for example's sake, I'm going to increase the face amount on this. And if we increase the face amount, that will give you more what's called guideline level premium that you can put in. So if, for example's sake, you can take out of your paycheck and do $5,000 a year, but let's say you get a bonus at the end of the year and you want to put in another 2,000 or 4,000 or whatever, you have no room for that. But if we add face amount or death benefit, I call this a buffered strategy. Now, the interesting thing here is I have all of these checked on the left-hand side. So with a click of a button, pow, I now have 6 illustrations. These show that these are already done. These show that they're not done yet. Now, if I go back here, I see we're ranging between, let's say, 80,000 and 90,000. That's the average, 78 to 90 or 80 to 90. So let's say, for example's sake, I'm going to go to AIG. I'm going to just go to the solve for, and now I'm going to play around with it. So I'm going to go to no solve. And let's just say instead of 86,000, I want to bring it up to 150,000. Okay. Nothing else has changed. We have not changed anything else but the face amount. Okay. National Life Group. Solve for, no solve. 150000. Okay. Oh, where did I click to change another carrier after you duplicate? So the video is probably in the way. Top right hand corner, you'll see next to calculate, it's an orange button that says change product. Yeah. Okay. So we changed NLG to no solve 150, index strategy, the same. Disbursements, the same. Policy options, the same. The only one that I always have trouble with is North American. So if I change this to a no solve, 150123. Now the index strategy is the same. Disbursements, now I have to calculate it. It won't let me figure out what it is. So I would have to do some backwards math on them. So for the sake of this exercise and given the timing, I'm going to get rid of North American on this one. So I have three that are done, two that aren't. I'm going to hit calculate here, and it's only going to calculate the other two. So what we're doing again, we just increased the face probably by about 50% or so. And what is this going to do for the customer? One is going to increase the death benefit. So that because we deal with a lot of living benefit companies, we're increasing the living benefits. Two, the other max in the other three that we can put into those is $5,000. We're now increasing what's called the guideline level premium, so they could put an off-cycle premium in or more money into it. Three, higher living benefits. So now, in case something happens, I can access against 150 versus 86 or 150 versus 90. Four, the death benefit did go up, but the premium did not. So, yes, it does increase your cost of insurance. Okay. Now, from the standpoint here, in the last premium that we had was 5,000. This is also 5,000, but if I want to add more money to it later, you'll see the wording here called guideline level premium. Okay. So the most I can put in is $8,500 per year. I can add an additional 3532 to this product. But you say, all right, well, Phil, you're not max funding it. You're absolutely correct. Yes, the target also does go up. Okay, so there is a perk for us as a producer, but Core Brewers at about $23,001, and now they're at 21,672. So we dropped the income by $1,400 or $100, $120 a month or so, something like that. Am I doing the math right? Someone fact check me. Um, so when you look at it, the drop is not that dramatic. Okay. We're dropping the income slightly on a hypothetical illustration to give them more room to grow. Now, I will tell people this. Let's look at National Life Group too. I will tell people, I will show them both. Okay. So I will show them both and explain the benefit. Now, whichever one they want to go with, that is their choice. Okay. But I will show both to give them the options to see which one makes more sense for them. So with National Life Group, we're going to see that they can put up to 8263. So very close. 2332 comp. And you'll see here 22,801. So once again, we drop by about $1,200 or $100 a month in your retirement income. Not a big deal. So when you look in perspective, there is the benefit for the customer, the opportunity to put more money into it later on. The cool thing is so let's say, for example, sake, these first 10 years, I put in 5 grand. Well, then I got a $80,000 bonus. Well, I can put 3,000 or $30,000 into here. So I can make up the extra that I missed before. So it might not be the first year, it might not be the second year, but you can add all that extra money. It tallies up. So you can put money in later. And so that's why I say there's a perk here. You have 5,000 that you're putting in, you have 8,300 ish that you can put in per year. So that will continue to tally up over time, and you can just drop it in at one point or another. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? No? Okay. Um, what I will show you is one cool thing that National Life Group did for their software. You can either do it here or in their on their platform. So What they did is they call it not a minimum DB max cash value, they call it a balanced. So they actually already figured it out. So everything else stayed the same. All I have to do is hit calculate. So instead of a min face, min face max accumulation, it's just balanced. They're going to do the software solve for you to figure out a mixture between death benefit and cash in case some people want to have their cake and eat it too. But mind you, if I was doing a target funding, I'd be putting someone at 5,000 premium with a target of 5,000. These target premiums are still between 1,400 and 2,300. So majority is still going towards cash. Now you'll see with National Life Group, I did the balance, and we're talking. I didn't even plan this, just so you know. I'm off by what, $70 or $67 in the difference. So even just looking at this, 150 is a lot cleaner, but it'll probably be around the same 22.8 if we were looking at income. So all things considered, when you look at the design and you look at the strategy, um, my personal approach when it comes to running income solves, minimum face, no mech, based on the premium that they can put into the policy. I say for about 10, preferably 20 years, if you have the time frame to do so, between 10 to 20, depending on how young they are. So if they're in their 30s or 40s, 20 is okay. If they're in their 50s, probably 10. But the question I always say to someone is, what do you feel comfortable after you have your emergency fund? You're paying the bills, you have some fun money. What's the money left that you can put in on a monthly basis that will go towards your retirement? Now, I will highly, highly, highly stress this. If someone says $50, $100, not worth it. Okay. Not worth it. Why? You can actually do a Roth IRA for them through National Life Group at $100 minimum per month. Okay. They're the only carrier that gives you a $100 minimum without putting a 5,000 or 10,000 lump sum in the first year. So you can set them up with a Roth IRA at $100 minimum, and you're going to get rid of all the costs of insurance. There's no fees or anything. These are designed for people who can put north of $300 to $500 a month. Okay. That's the goal for a LIRP, an alternative. It's like a super Roth. You can go higher than the 7,500, which is your current Roth contribution limits. And why is that important? So like I have someone who's doing 133,000 a year for 10 years, and he's doing that because he can do that. And he has disqualified himself from a Roth. He can't do a Roth. The other reason why you would do a life insurance versus a Roth is you can pull out the money before 59 and a half. So those are the kind of the caveats to why these make sense versus a Roth. But if someone's just like, well, I want to put $100 into it, save yourself the headache. First and foremost, you're managing that policy for the next 20, 30, 40 years, and the gross is not worth the grief. Okay. So you could show them that, but also show them a Roth and say, if you're planning on taking this after 59 and a half for income, look at how much more cash you get over here versus over here, and explain the pros and cons. But you want to be an advocate for options. I would say no more than two options, because if you give someone three or four or five, they're going to just think about it and you'll never hear from them again. So about two options is good. But understanding that we can run several carriers, this is for you to do your due diligence and homework with. It's not to run all of these in front of the client, to put it lightly. You want to go back with them, like have a consultation. If you can do it quick, like on the fly, like I can, then great. But if you need to take time to do some solving and figuring out, do architectural design, so to speak, then gather the data, get the information, and then go back to the client. Okay. We don't want you to have to do this all in front of them because there's a lot of dead time. But if you're comfortable with one or two carriers that you can do this in front of them to show them some options and play around with it, obviously you have a higher likelihood of closing the deal on the first try versus trying to set up another appointment. So there is a finesse to it in artwork. I would say, especially for these designs, just remember, is the gross worth the grief? Are you going to be trying very hard to make someone do a LIRP because it makes sense to you? We can't think from our own pocket. So if I were to talk to someone in their 50s and they could do even $1,000 a month, right? So $12,000 a year. Think about it. Your window is smaller as you get older, so you have to put more in for it to compound and grow. So even someone putting $1,000 in a month at 50 for 15 years and then income at 65, I would still say, hey, what is this really going to do for you? If I could show you an opportunity where we could help you with long-term care and a death benefit and a return to premium, would you be interested? And that might be a better solution or something outside of the box. Okay. So the older you get, sometimes you have to think differently because some people will say, well, I only want to give you $100 a month or 200 or $300 a month at 55. And you're like, that's not going to give you anything but disappointment and it'll put egg on my face too. So just again, think objectively when it comes to cash value type life insurance sales because there's a long tail on them and your reputation is on the line too anytime you sell these. So it's very important that the customer knows everything about them to a certain extent. Don't oversell it, but also, just make sure you're covering your tail too. I'll step off the soapbox. Want to open it up for any questions? You guys have any questions? We got about 10 minutes left. And because again, I'm in this little dungeon room. I don't want to, take up too much time. But any questions on this? Don't be shy.
This looks like a great platform, I will have to say. I have a question about a previous client that I think I made the mistake because of setting her up because she's only paying $50 for this IUL that this last FMO helped me set up. And I was looking at it and it's like already in a negative. And would it be advantageous to switch her to a different carrier, explaining to her that what's happening?
So what I would look at first is you can run an in-force illustration, or you could even pull up the original illustration. And depending on the carrier, what you'll see is F and G.
Vanilla. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'll keep my comments to myself on that. But so you'll see guideline level premium is 5,000. Client is paying 5,000. Well, if the guideline level was 5,000, but the client was paying, 500, you could say, hey, you're paying severely less than what the max premium is. So instead of changing the product, you might want to just increase the funding there because if you just change the product, there's no surrender cash value. Like you already said, it's in the negative right now. And the other thing is that if it's a newer policy, um, and this is something that you guys have to overcome too, you're in the negative for a while. So I'm putting $5,000 in a year. Okay. It's not until I get to right around here where I hit net positive. Okay. So the client has to understand they're not just buying a quote unquote investment. I hate using the word investment with life insurance. It's an additional solution to help you with your retirement, but you don't want to get the wording messed up because it can be a problem. So when you look at the design here, okay, Phil, I'm losing money. I've put in 25 grand. I only have 23,540. It's been 5 years. What the heck? All right. Well, you don't have kids? No, I'm the only one. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Tanisha. I was gonna say, talking to a brick wall here. Jeez. No. So when your child is born, immediately are they walking? Are they talking? Are they fixing you breakfast? Are they doing anything? No. So much like a kid, you have to foster and feed it, let it grow, and let it do its thing. So about 10 years out, the insurance costs drop dramatically and then the cash starts to explode. So you'll see 56 turns into 65, turns into 74, but I've only put 5 grand in. So what's happening is your compounding is going up, your costs of insurance are going down, and so that's why they have to understand that it's a self-completing policy. You have death benefit in case you die too soon, living benefits in case you get sick along the way, and then it rewards you during your golden years by giving you some type of accumulation. Now, if all they say is I can only do $50 a month, then what I would show them is, well, first off, I would say you have to increase it to 100 and then show them the Roth IRA from National Life Group to put them in a better light because the cost of insurance are going to eat them up. Um, Plain and simple. It's if it was done the way I think it was done, it's probably not a minimum no mech. It was probably a specific face amount, say 100,000 at $50 a month, and there's going to be a lot of fat or cost of insurance that they have to overcome. The other thing that I would say is so once again, don't immediately trash the policy, modify it if they can modify it, and then two, go with something tried and true like the S&P because if it's in the Barclays, that thing is a turd. So you don't want to use the volatility controlled indexes. They're just garbage. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate the comment. Um, and that's the thing too, Kathy, is we all learn somewhere. I've made some bad choices in recommendations before in the past. When I was at MetLife as an internal, and I had to suck it up, call the advisor back, and advisors it's harder because they don't like insurance in the first place. So so again, there's no bad policy. You just have to make some modifications and corrections to help it get back to where it's supposed to be. But like I said, over here, you're not seeing positive cash flow on this bad boy until you get to around 7 to 10 is the time frame. So the client has to, like, the first statement you get, throw it out. It's worthless. You're not going to get any credits. You're not going to get anything. It's just awful. Because if a point to point is from, March 19th to March 19th, and the statement is issued on March 19th, the point hasn't finished yet. So there's no credits that are being associated with that. So all it looks like is a bunch of charges. But so you really don't see how well it's doing until the second statement. So these are little things that, as you talk to a client, sometimes I even say, hey, it might be prudent to actually put together a little sheet that says, appreciate the opportunity to serve. Here's here's how the policy is designed. This is what we talked about. Fund it for this long. If you do the buffered, you have the ability to add every year up to X. I'm here to support you. However, if something happens to me, here's the number to the carrier. And what it does is it creates an extra, you know, what makes you you compared to the person next to you? What makes you you compared to a chatbot, right? So if you give that extra service component, what does that lead to? A positive experience and referrals. So that's really the name of the game. That's how we make money, right? Is just continuing to offer solutions, referrals, and grow. So, Kathy, if you have the original illustration that you had, email it to me. I'll give you some pointers. If you have a statement, I don't know how old it is, but I'll gladly take a gander at that goose and tell you,
About 3 years old.
yeah.
3 years.
So if you have a statement and if you know how to run in-force illustrations or can get one, that would help too.
Okay.
So, yep. But we can review that. That'll be a different training for another day, policy
Yep.
review. But yeah, there's no foul, no folly. We'll fix it. So, but it's better to recognize it now, as opposed to 10 years later, and the client hates you because you sold him a a lemon. So we'll fix it. Any other last question, comment, raw burst of emotion? Raphael's pondering. All right. Well, I'll cut here, let you guys get a minute back in your day. Or again, if you haven't done it yet and you're planning on coming out to Nash Vegas, there's like 10 to 12 seats left, to be quite frank. This is probably the first one I'm going to have a waiting room on. We have 30 spots. So, if you want to come out to Nashville, 25th and 26th, life insurance, baby. All about life insurance. So, oh yeah, Kathy, love it, love it. I am not laying down, Richard. I'm just this couch is anyway. You're a jerk.
I was late. Like, are you in the bed or something? Notice me.
I
It's like,
wish it's. I'm
it's
in.
like
I'm
you're
in
laid
Jonathan
back.
Bunch's
Like, where are you?
house, and like it's a couch. Okay, I'm in
Okay,
Houston.
okay.
Get
Let's just
off my
check.
back. Get off my back. I have a shirt on at least, so I'm not laying down. Anyway, anyway. I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day. If you don't talk, have a great weekend. See you next week, and hopefully we'll see you guys in a few weeks in Nashville. So have a great day, guys.
Thanks. Have a good
Yeah,
flight.
very helpful.
Thank you.
See you guys.